So my question is, you have said, as I recall, that you like Herschel Walker, correct?
Yeah, I mean, he's been endorsed by Mitch McConnell, your favorite. He's been endorsed by a lot of people. I would vote for him. I
Okay,
mean,
so I
there
guess
are
that
other
leads.
people who I would put ahead of him, but yeah, if he was in the primary, or I need to look at the other candidates. But if he was the Republican nominee, absolutely.
So my question is again. So is there? And here's a guy who who like has been accused of not just pointing a gun at his wife's head, but multiple female accusations. He's welched on loans. He's lied about his assets. He's done all this stuff. But that's not the worst of it. I mean, he's made no effort to learn anything. He said that John Lewis was a senator. He said, "I'm really upset that NATO is behind Ukraine." He has no public appearances. They won't let him talk to anyone. So I guess my point is there some point of no return? Is there a Rubicon where country comes before party, where principle comes before policy? Because that's the one thing I just don't see from so many Republicans. Frankly, I know I'm someone, and I know a lot of my Democratic friends who would vote for somebody who was not of their party if their candidate was reprehensible. Eric Greitens is another one. I mean, this is a guy who put a woman in bondage and used photos to blackmail for sexual acts. Are you supporting him in Missouri? I mean, how low
No,
do these guys?
I like
Pardon?
Vicky Hartzler. I like Vicky Hartzler in that race, and my parents live in Missouri. But yeah, I
guess the point is there a point for you where you'd say, you know what, even though this person is the nominee, I'm a loyal Republican, but it's just too much. I can't vote for this person.
Look, that actually happened with the nominee who was going after teenagers. Well, what was
Would you have voted for Roy Moore in Alabama over Doug Jones?
That's who it was. Not Roy Moore. No, I said this on CNN. I would not. I know he was the nominee. I would not have voted for him. I would not. I think with Herschel Walker, you didn't mention that Raphael Warnock has had similar allegations against him of domestic abuse.
This is the false equivalency thing, but let's stick with Herschel Walker.
I think it's important. I think if you're going to mention it, it's important to actually, say that there are credible allegations against the opponent, because I think that's relevant. And I think
fewer and further between, but anyway, go ahead.
But I think for Herschel Walker, the Constitution doesn't have any test except for being a certain age, and you got to be a citizen. So in terms of his qualifications, I think he's an inspirational figure. He's overcome a lot. Is he perfect? No. I think you tend to focus on Republicans a lot more than going against Democrats who have, Bill Clinton had horrible characteristics of things he was accused of. He had to pay $700,000 to Paula Jones, and he was also stripped of his bar license. So I gave up long ago believing that politicians were ever going to be saints. I wish that they were better behaving. But I think for Herschel Walker, I think what he represents is a new generation of Black conservatives. Are any of us perfect? No. But I think for him, he's really captivated the imagination because he is someone who embodies the American dream with what he's achieved in sports. And I just think that going after Republicans all the time is not, while ignoring the sins of the other party. I don't know.
Carrie, first of all, I have yet to see her very few times where you have criticized the other side. I think I'm much better at being honest. I have criticized the left on many things they've done. I've criticized the administration on many things they've done. So I'm as a Rockefeller Republican, I'm middle of the road, and I criticize both sides. And believe me, the Dems have squandered huge opportunities because, as I've said, I think the only way to save the village, and as far as the Republican Party is concerned, is to burn it down. And until there's a political price to be paid for all this stuff that's going on, nothing's going to change. And the Democrats had an historic opportunity to do that. They were handed the Senate once again because of Donald Trump, who got involved in the race. And David, I think that Warnock would have won because Kelly Loeffler was a bad candidate, but David Perdue would have definitely beaten John Ossoff, who's some 33-year-old documentary filmmaker. I don't think he's qualified to be in the Senate either, frankly. But in any case, they've unfortunately, it looks like they're on their way to squandering it and handing power back to a party that I don't think right now can be trusted with it. So I'm very critical of this stuff, but it gets to the point where candidates, and the only reason Herschel Walker is so inspirational is because he brought Georgia a national football title. Okay, if he's someone who had just played for the Atlanta Falcons, okay, it wouldn't be the same. And I because I know a lot of people from Georgia, and he is, he's a mythical figure because of the championship, which was until this year the only championship that they'd had recently. So I think that
I just don't believe people should be judged by their worst
but
moments.
shouldn't they be qualified? Don't politicians have a responsibility to their voters to at least try to learn something about the issues, to appear in public, to debate their opponents? I mean, people criticize Biden for hiding out in the basement, but at least he made campaign appearances and he debated his opponents. Herschel Walker won't do any of that. That's a dereliction of duty, isn't it?
Well, we'll see what happens.
But isn't it? I mean, shouldn't he at least have public appearances and have to show people that he's at least has a modicum of qualification, that he's made a minor effort to learn about the issues and show that he's capable of trying to govern? Because he's not doing that.
You and I can disagree. How about that?
Okay. We will leave it at that. Finally, one thing before we go is some of our viewers I heard from, and again, I try to be very fair, and they said last time when I asked you that question about the election, that I didn't really give you a chance to answer, that I said, oh, so you're not answering the question. So being the fair guy I am, I just want to give you one more chance, and I'm not going to say anything. Yes or no, do you think the 2020 presidential election was stolen?
Dave, it's a thorny issue. I think the Smartmatic allegations, the Sidney Powell stuff, that was all lies. So no, I don't think that was stolen. I think the laptop, the Hunter Biden corruption for the family, that was polling suggests if the truth of that story had been, now it's 18 months coming out from the New York Times, that could have made the difference. So I'm upset by how Trump was treated. I don't think he was treated fairly by the media. In terms of the mechanics of the election, I think there are lots of conspiracy theories that we need to put to bed that are wrong, and Republicans should stop talking about them if they want to win.
Well, so, and again, we're conflating different issues. There's whether the election was stolen, and there's whether issues had come up. Some people had said, well, if the vaccine had come out before the 2020 election, Trump might have won. And if, Trump has gotten billions of dollars of free media coverage. So again, I don't feel sorry for him when it comes to the media, but okay, well, I did give you a chance. Folks, once again, thanks so much for joining us on another episode of Practically Political. I'm Dave Spencer.
And I'm Carrie Sheffield. We'll see you next time.